So my name is Dave Dorner. I'm the founder and the president of DornerWorks. Started this company 19 years ago. So DornerWorks is our original niche specialty, if you will. Started back when I started in my basement, and that was based around what I call embedded systems engineering. So embedded systems are the electronics and the software that runs on those electronics that are embedded in things that are around us in our lives all the time, but they're not a computer for the sake of word processing or your mobile phone. It's more embedded electronics that might be in a vehicle per se. So maybe they're in a car, maybe they're in a military ground vehicle like a tank, or maybe they're in an airplane, or maybe they're in a hospital device that's in the operating room. Those are all those systems have embedded electronics and software that controls them, and so that's in a nutshell what we do. Now, what's been fun as we've grown and evolved and matured, we've started to develop niche core capabilities that all exist in the embedded world, embedded electronics world, but they happen to define us with some unique capabilities that are putting us on the map, putting us on the globe, both from a national perspective as well as an international perspective. So some of those technologies involve what I mentioned already, the Internet of Things. We specialize on the things. We can do the internet part of it too, but there's not a lot of companies that do the things part of Internet of Things. So we're doing the electronics and the things, but also something called separation technology, which has to do with separating software packages from running on the same compute platform and being separated from a cybersecurity and safety critical perspective. We call that separation technology. And computers on a chip these days have multiple cores on them, which are multiple computing processing cores on one computer chip, and they have multiple I/O input-output devices on those computer chips, and they really demand what we call separation technology for different software applications and entire software operating systems run on these multiple cores and interplaying together from a safe and secure standpoint. Another couple of our niche capabilities that have evolved over the years has been something we call FPGA, which is Field Programmable Gate Array. And we've grown, we have a dozen people that do that particular type of design, which is really computer chip design, and it's niche. There's not too many companies that can do that capability. And that's the last one that we have is what we call technology product development, where we're helping our customers actually design entire technologies into their products. So our workplace culture is unique. We have a small business culture that we like to maintain, that we like to grow. Although as we're growing, we're kind of changing its definition, because we were definitely a small business when we were 12 people. Are we a small business now that we're 100 people? It's sort of a relative term, so we're rephrasing that as a good company culture. But nonetheless, it still is very small compared to some of the large companies today. So that's very unique and special. It's also a family-owned business. So Jeff and I are brothers, and Jeff has been with me since 2004, started the business in the year 2000. And so it also has that description of being a family-owned business. And some family-owned businesses, the families get along, and sometimes they don't. Thankfully for us, we knock on wood, we've gotten along together, running this company together since 2004. So that's over 15 years. So, and the company is almost 20 years, 19 years. So. All of them involve embedded software. So we actually, if you look at DornerWorks, we have almost 100 employees. A lot of them are embedded software engineers. And so technology product development has embedded software. IoT, Internet of Things products have embedded software. Separation technology is software in and of itself. FPGA has software processing cores inside FPGAs that require software to be written for them. So that's an example where certain skill sets overlap across those different disciplines. So one of the things that's been very exciting for me is I'm an engineer at heart, and originally an engineer and did engineering myself, so I now live vicariously through the company. So it was fun for me this Christmas holiday season, actually, last year, to come home and find this Williams and Sonoma catalog in the mail, and see that they had a whole display here on page here on the Traeger grill. That DornerWorks did all the embedded electronics for that, as well as the Internet of Things capability to connect it to your mobile phone so that you could smoke your meat when you were at the office all day when your grill's at home, to monitor and control it. So I was really excited to see that. First time I think that DornerWorks has been in kind of a commercial flyer like this. And it's exciting for me to see the variety of projects that we have here. So this is a smoker grill that you can really wrap your minds around, and actually we have tests out in the on the deck where we're smoke some meat and see how it tastes. But we'll also have projects that are much more abstract. So we'll have a piece of software that's maybe running in an airplane, and we don't of course have the whole airplane here in our labs, but it'll be quite a variety from some really cyber secure, ultra futuristic, DARPA paid for satellite technology versus smoker grills. So in the advent of what we call the Internet of Things has really expanded our business. We used to really only live in those niche safety critical cyber secure spaces like aerospace and defense, medical, automotive, or rugged industrial, but the Internet of Things now has allowed us to work in a lot of spaces that we would never expect it to play in, so that's been very fun. I would say to throw yourself into it with an open mind, with the attitude of wanting to learn a lot of new things. Even if you come in here as an intern, we will satisfy your need to learn new things, and we try and give you real projects, even as a co-op as an intern, such that you're learning on real customer projects. And there's tons of opportunity to learn new things, and to do it within a culture of trying to work together to achieve great things for our customers. So we are primarily a service-based company where we're trying to solve our customers' problems and design embedded technology solutions for them. And so another secret sauce of your attitude and what you're trying to do here is to say, hey, I want to put myself in the shoes of our customer, and what can we do to make them succeed? And what unique, creative, innovative solutions can we bring to the table so that we can make them successful? So you'll see that as we walk through the buildings, I've named the conference rooms after cyborgs or computers or enemies that Captain Kirk talked into either self-destructing or defeating somehow in the classic episode, as well as a couple from the Next Generation. And you can even see here I've got a plaque on my wall of all the original cast from the original classic Star Wars. So here's the conference room. This is our flagship conference room. It's M5, which is an autonomous device that was on the Starship Enterprise that Kirk had to talk into self-destructing. So as we walk through here, this is my brother's office here. We've got a dozen workstations on this side. We've got a dozen on the other side. And this is what we jokingly refer to as intern row. We have co-ops and student interns from the local universities and colleges, which we heavily engage. We really enjoy growing organically by bringing in people from colleges and universities. Over here, just to give you an idea of what somebody's desk looks like, pretty much everybody has a static mat on their desk where they have electronics, and we either have designed the electronics themselves or we're designing the software that runs on those electronics, or both. So this gives you a perfect idea of what somebody's desk looks like here for an engineer that's at DornerWorks. We also have this kind of a common area for a lab. So sometimes you may have to take a circuit board and you look through it with this microscope, and we've got a soldering iron back there, and you may have to say, oh, I need to change this wire and change this trace on the circuit board because the prototype didn't work as planned, and so we have to make an adjustment. So that's what these lab stations are for here. This is an office supply area. More desks over here. This is a big customer of ours, Traeger Grill. We've been doing the real-time electronic control, which is in there, of the auger that moves the pellets into the flame, as well as connecting it over the internet down to your phone, so that you can actually smoke your meat when you're at the office. Your grill can be at home, and you can be controlling it from wherever you are via your phone. So we've been doing quite a few projects in that space, which was what's called the Internet of Things. We got some demonstrations here of some electronics that we worked on. This particular circuit board is for a military ground vehicle. It's for a 360-degree situational awareness. So there was a gunner that was in a Stryker vehicle by the U.S. Army. They wanted to get him down inside the vehicle, and so he could see around the vehicle without having his head popped up. They had an optical periscope system that they wanted to replaced with a video system. So this actually, these cameras at the moment are just aimed straight out, but they would normally be configured around a circle. And this actually here is one of the ruggedized cameras. These are kind of off-the-shelf commercial cameras, but the ruggedized cameras would be this, and they would be in a turret that would be situated 360 degrees. And then this was a sort of a version of that we did for the automotive industry. And this is the circuit board here. So the circuit board here is of our design, and each one of these wires goes to the camera. And what's unique about the way we did this is each wire multiplexes power, control of the camera, as well as the video signal. This way. It's a beautiful day for this tour. So this is our deck, which we're really proud of. And we just made this deck about a year ago. We bought the building here about 2 years ago. We originally started in this building, bought this building, and then we had a perfect place for a deck, which was something that we've wanted to have for a very long time. I'm glad we waited. We kept kind of kicking the can down the road, if you will, on building it. And I'm glad we waited, because then when we bought that building, we had the perfect space to put it in, which is right here. So everybody gets to view the lake here, little pond, sit out here for lunch, or sometimes we have impromptu meetings that will come out here if it's a nice day. We also have little happy hour celebrations during the summer. We'll come out at happy hour and have some drinks and snacks. So you notice here, our nicknames for the building, this is the USS Enterprise NCC 1701, and another example of my trekkiness. The other building is called USS Constitution NCC 1700. The Enterprise was a Constitution class starship. It was the second one. The original one was the Constitution. Come on in this way. This is something that we're quite proud of here. This is our server room, and it's behind glass here. We basically maintain all of our own network devices here, because we do a lot of military work, and because of that we have to have watch what we export on the internet. We don't want to let things that are U.S. military data technology get out on the internet. Because of that, we don't use cloud services. We actually have everything in-house right now. Come in here, we've got another lab. This shows a medical bed. We do quite a bit in the medical electronics space. We also do some work with ruggedized commercial washers and dryers, and we've done all the real-time electronics to control these washers and dryers, as well as the industrial Internet of Things capability to connect it to the internet, so that you can pull up on a phone or on a laptop all the metrics, preventative analytics like preventative maintenance metrics data from these washers and dryers. Another makeshift lab here for looking at prototypes. In here we've got a kitchen right here, and kind of a social eating area here for everybody to have lunch. A popcorn machine, which is empty. I have to get to work on that. Fancy coffee machine. More private offices and conference rooms. And here we've got, I think, another 20 engineering workstations in here. Again, you'll notice the same type of setup here with static mats and all kinds of gadgets. Right. Right here we've got a little, this is a little phone booth, so a lot of people, if they're in a queue and they need to make a personal call or a private call, they come here and use this as we're making a video. And then about this way, this is our back parking lot. So we've got 2 parking lots, parking for about 100 people. And then going down the steps here. And we're organized based upon our niche capabilities. So we've got 4 major departments, if you will, although we're still pretty small, so 100 people, maybe there's roughly 20 people in each group. We've got more private offices down here along the ways, as well as more, about 16 maybe desks down here. But we are organized based upon those niche capability groups, so more or less everybody on the same area is working on the same type of thing. This here is kind of exciting, because this is actually a secure lab. So we have we can have government, U.S. military secret projects that are running in there. So I can't open that room or I'd have to kill you. So. And back to the other side of the building. If you want, you can get a view of our sign there. And again, this is the U.S.'s Constitution, NCC 1700, that I mentioned. We'll take you downstairs to this building. So now we're back in our original building again. Going downstairs, there's a couple unique things to show off down here. This is what we call our flex lab. So this is a big flexible lab space, and it's also, we'll have all employee meetings down here. So we've got these chairs here, these folding chairs. We'll set these folding chairs up. There's a podium at the front of the room here. And we've got a screen that comes down from here. So I'll stand up here. We'll give all employee meetings about once every 6 weeks or so. In fact, we got one coming up this coming Monday. And then otherwise, it's just, you'll see more lab benches, soldering irons, microscopes, areas for people to work on circuits. And again, we don't do manufacturing or production. We're strictly a design house, but we do have to test our designs. So we'll get a prototype built. We'll bring the prototype, test it. If there's a problem, we'll bring it in here to work on it and fix it up. And then there'll be other test stations. Sometimes maybe something's really noisy and we don't want it, you may not want it at your desk. So they'll put it in here. So some of these things have fans on them, for instance, and they're quite noisy and whatnot. So this room is real perfect for that. Aaron. We've got about 18 workstations down here, and more private offices and conference rooms. And again, everybody gets to share in the view from outside, which is nice. And then this is my claim to fame for my Star Wars collection. So this is every major character and most of the minor characters from the original Lucas double trilogy, episodes 1 through 6. This, just to give you a quick example, this is a product where we actually, it's a data recorder, much like you'd have a flight data recorder in an airplane, but this is for a car. This was a test piece of equipment that they would put on the back and the trunk of a car, and they would run the cars into brick walls. And they would have a crash test dummy, and they would take data, acceleration data and velocity data, whatnot, on the crash test dummies. So we did all this design ourselves, and we also put this into a little ruggedized container that could survive the crash. And finally, we've got our front desk here. And we've got a waiting area over there. Both that painting there and the painting over here has the Dorner name on it. And actually, my mother was an artist and a painter, so she actually painted those pictures. And then finally, to complete the tour, we've got a little kitchen here. We had the kitchen in the other building. This is our kitchen in this building, complete with coffee, of course, and this fancy little juice machine that's brand new. So, and with that, I think that concludes the tour.